Section 4.1, writing equations in slope-intercept form. We need to start by recalling what slope-intercept form is. Slope-intercept form, y equals, and I'm going to do this in red, mx plus b. Okay, y equals mx plus b. That should be some recall from chapter 3. Okay, so slope-intercept form, y equals mx plus b. The m stands for the slope, and it's just m, not mx, just m. And then the b is the y-intercept, okay? It's called slope-intercept form for a reason. Math people are not creative. Slope-intercept form tells you the slope and the y-intercept. And these are the two things, the slope and the y-intercept. These are the two things that you need to know in order to be able to write an equation of a line. The slope and the y-intercept. So the first couple of examples here, write an equation of a line with the given slope and y-intercept. This is going to be really easy. Okay, this is very straightforward because it tells us the slope and the y-intercept. So all we need to do is take these two numbers, the -3 and the +1/2, and put them into our equation. Okay, so it's going to be y equals, my slope is -3, so -3x, and then my y-intercept is 1/2, so plus 1/2. That's all there is to it. Y equals -3x plus 1/2. If the slope is 0, okay, so we'll still plug it in. So y equals 0x, and then instead of plus -2, we can just write it as -2. But 0 times x is just 0. So really, if you have 0x, you can just erase that or get rid of it, not even write it. Your answer then for number 2 is y equals -2. Just y equals -2. There's not going to be any x in there. Number 3, a slope of 7 and a y-intercept of 2. So that's going to be y equals, my slope is 7x, my y-intercept is 2, so that's plus 2. That's your answer for number 3. And then for number 4, let's see, we got y equals, because we're starting in slope-intercept form, the slope is 1/3 x, and then the y-intercept is 0. Now, if I take something and add 0 to it, that's not going to change. If your y-intercept is 0, you don't need to write it. Okay, anything with 0, you don't need to write. So y equals 1/3 x, and that would be your answer there for number 4. Okay, so those are the basic examples. The examples do get a little more complex, not too much in this section, but let's move on. Write an equation of the line of each line in slope-intercept form. Okay, so if we're going to write it in slope-intercept form, we need to know two things. We need to know the slope, and we need to know the y-intercept. Let's start by finding the slope. Okay, and we're given 2 points, 4, 3, and 0, -3. We need to find the slope. I'm going to subtract from top to bottom. And remember, slope is change in y over change in x. So we need to do our y values first. So 3 minus -3. Okay, that negative in front of this 3 does not replace this minus sign. It's 3 minus -3. And then need to do the x values as well from top to bottom, 4 minus 0. If you want to go from bottom to top, you can. That's certainly fine. Just make sure you do -3 minus 3 and then 0 minus 4. Have to go in the same order when we're subtracting. So 3 minus -3, that's the same thing as 3 plus +3. Okay, that would be the same thing as 6. 4 minus 0 is 4. 6 over 4 is a fraction that can be simplified. That can be simplified down into 3 over 2. So there's our slope. Now the question then becomes the y-intercept. Well, the y-intercept is where it crosses the y-axis, and it does right there. The y value, or the b value in this case, for your y-intercept, is going to be the y value when x is equal to 0. b equals -3, because this is where it crosses the y-axis, at -3. Okay, so one of these points that you're going to be given today, or in this section, is going to have an x value of 0. The y value on that point is going to be your y-intercept. So look for that one, and that's going to be your y-intercept. Then all you need to do after that is find the slope, or find the slope first and then just find the point with an x value of 0, and that will give you your y-intercept. We're not done, though, with this question. It says write the equation of the line in slope-intercept form. We haven't done that yet. Okay, we need to do that. So it's going to be y equals, we start with our slope, 3/2, 3 over 2, followed by an x, and then our y-intercept is -3. Y equals 3/2 x minus 3. That is your answer for number 1. Let's try another one here. Number 2, we got 0, 2, and we got 4, -1. Start with your slope. I guess it really doesn't matter. I'm going to start with the slope. So we got our 2 points, 0, 2, and 4, -1. I'm going to go, we'll go bottom to top this time. Start with our y values, -1 minus our x, which is 2. And then we go our x values, 4 minus 0. -1 minus 2 is -3. 4 minus 0 is 4. -3 divided by 4 is a simplified fraction, so we leave it as negative 3/4. Now, if the fraction has a negative on top and a positive on bottom, you could rewrite this as negative 3/4. Either one is fine. It really does not make me any difference. Now, this point right here is our y-intercept. It's where it crosses the y-axis, and specifically that value is 2. So our b value is equal to 2. So then we can write our final equation. Y equals, we got our slope of negative 3/4, negative 3/4 x, and then plus 2, our y-intercept. All right, let's try a couple more examples. This time I'm not going to give you a picture, but really it's the same type of problem. Write an equation of the line that passes through the given points. We've got negative 3,5, and we've got 0, 1. Okay, start by finding the slope. We'll do this, keep the slope in red. I'm going to go this way from left to right. So we're going to have 5 minus 1. Always got to start with our y values. And then our x values, negative 3 minus 0. 5 minus 1 is 4. Negative 3 minus 0 is negative 3. 4 over negative 3 is perfectly fine as is. If you want to write it with just one negative out front, you could do that as well. Okay, the y-intercept, it's that point with an x value of 0. So our b value in this case is going to be 1. Once we've got our slope and our y-intercept, we can write our final equation. Y equals negative 4/3 x plus 1. Number 2, 0, negative 5, and 8, negative 5. Again, we need to find the slope first, so m equals, we'll go from right to left this time. So we got negative 5 minus negative 5 over 8 minus 0. 8 minus 0 on the bottom is 8. Negative 5 minus negative 5, we can think of that as negative 5 plus positive 5, which actually is going to be 0. And 0 on the top, 0 divided by anything is going to be 0. So my slope is 0. The y-intercept, well, that's that point with an x value of 0, specifically the y value on that point. So my y-intercept is negative 5. So we can write our equation, y equals 0x minus 5. But remember, if the number in front of x is 0, 0 times anything is going to be 0. So we don't really need to write this. We can just leave this as, and I'm just going to rewrite the whole thing, y equals negative 5. That would be your answer there for number 2. All right, let's try another couple here. Different setup, write a linear function. So we're going to be given a problem in function notation. So when we do this, our answer is going to be written in function notation. Okay, so f of 0 equals 10 and f of 6 equals 34. We should probably decode what this means. So f of 0 equals 10 really means the point 0, 10. Okay, and then f of 6 equals 34 is the point 6, 34. That's what that notation means. F of 0 equals 10 references the point 0, 10, and then f of 6 equals 34 really means the point 6, 34. So once we have our 2 points, then it's the same problem. We need to find the slope. I'm going to go from left to right this time, so it's going to be 10 minus 34 all over 0 minus 6. 10 minus 34 is negative 24. 0 minus 6 is negative 6. Negative 24 divided by negative 6 is positive 4. So we have our slope. Need to find our y-intercept. Again, it's that point with a y value, or sorry, an x value of 0, and then we're looking at the y value. So our b value here is 10. Now, normally we would write this as y equals 4x plus 10. But like I said, if the problem is written in function notation originally, and if the directions say write a function, we need to write our answer in function notation. So rather than y equals, the function letter they give us is f, so we need to rewrite this as f of x equals, and then it's exactly the same, 4x plus 10. Okay, so that's how linear functions work, writing linear functions with given values. Let's try another one here. Number 2, g of 8 equals 7 and g of 0 equals 9. Again, let's come up with our 2 points. So g of 8 equals 7 means 8, 7, and g of 0 equals 9 means 0, 9. Go ahead and find your slope. I'm going to go from left to right again. 7 minus 9, 8 minus 0. 7 minus 9 is negative 2. 8 minus 0 is 8. 2 over 8 is a fraction that can be simplified. It's negative over positive, so that means it's going to be a negative fraction. 2 over 8 can be simplified into negative 1/4. Okay, once we find our slope, we can identify our y-intercept. It's that point with an x value of 0. Specifically, the y value is what our y-intercept is going to be. So our b value in this case is 9, so we can write our final answer. Now, instead of y equals, we need to use function notation. This time the letter we're going to use is g, so it's going to be g of x is equal to negative 1/4 x plus 9. Now, there is one vocabulary term in the section, and that would be linear model. A linear model is a function that models a real-life situation. It makes kind of sense. So I got one example here for you. In 2000, the average cost for college was about $14,000. Let's rewrite that. $14,000 was about $14,000. In 2010, the cost was about $18,000. Right? Step number one, or question number one, write a linear model that represents the cost of tuition as a function of the number of years since 2000. We got a lot of things going on here. So let's start by identifying the year 2000. That's going to represent a time of 0, since it's talking about since 2000. Okay, so the year 2000 is going to be a time of 0. Then it also talks about the year, what does it talk about? It talks about the year 2010. So 2010 is how many years since 2000? Well, that's 10 years. So the year 2000 is time equals 0. The year 2010 is time equals 10. Okay, so what else does that tell us? Well, we can say that in 2000, or not in 2000, we could say at t equals 0, so when at time 0, so in 2000, the tuition was $14,000. So really what that's telling us is an ordered pair. It tells us 0, 14,000. Okay? It also says that at t equals 10, in 2010, the tuition, let's write that correctly, tuition was $18,000. So another ordered pair, 10, 18,000. Okay? Once we have our two ordered pairs, we're really doing the same thing that we've been doing this entire video, this entire section. We need to find the slope, and then we need to find the y-intercept. I'm kind of running out of room here, so let's try to write a little smaller. M is equal to, so we got our 2 points. I'm going to go this way. So it's going to be 18,000 minus 14,000 all over 10 minus 0. Okay, so 18,000 minus 14,000 is 4,000. Divided by 10 minus 0 is 10. 4,000 divided by 10, we can drop a 0 off that. That's going to be 400. Our b value, that's going to be this point right here, specifically the y value. So the b value is 14,000. So then we can write our final answer, and we'll do that here in red. We're going to have y equals, and we could use, t, it wouldn't be t equals, we could say c equals for cost, but we'll just use y. Y equals, let's see, our slope was 400. We should use t because that's what we used here. So 400, let me go back to the pen, 400t, and then plus our y-intercept of 14,000. Now, if you want to rewrite the t with an x, so if y equals 400x, that would be fine. Really, the variables don't mean a whole lot. Okay? Question number 2 then, predict the cost of tuition in 2020. So we're going to use this equation here, our 400x, y equals 400x plus 14,000. Remember this variable here, x, or I used t originally, represented the number of years since 2000. So really, we're going to put in an x value of 20 here because 2020 is 20 years after 2000. So we're going to put that right there. So we're going to have y equals 400 times 20 plus 14,000. Let's see, 400 times 20. You can use a calculator for this. That's 8,000. 8,000 plus 14,000. When we add those two numbers together, the cost of tuition in 2020 should be about $22,000.